Councillor Tierney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, we can hardly take issue with those awful lines of Francis that marked their start of Mrs. Thatcher's premiership on the steps of 10 Downing Street on May 4, 1979. Where there is discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is error, may we bring truth. Where there is doubt, may we bring faith. And where there is despair, may we bring hope. Now, in all fairness, it must be said that St. Francis is a hard act to follow. But alas, a great number of us would say that after a very short time into her premiership, with her confrontational approach, her wealth and winners-only policies, those words from St. Francis appear to be nothing more than a mockery of the great saint's teaching. She was a strident, dominant figure, and one that undoubtedly achieved fame and notoriety. She was formidable, but did the nation benefit from her so-called victories? I think not. Yes, she had her victories, I suppose, but at the nation's expense, I would say. Look how she wiped out the mining communities and other industries. While we had millions and millions of tons of coal in our mines closed off, and we were importing coal at a great expense. She pushed through all the privatisations of the water, the light, the gas, everything like that, and wrapped herself in the Union flag while she did it. So the Big Bang and deregulation is largely responsible for the problems we encounter in 2008. It is largely responsible for the mess we find ourselves in today. Now, something rather more personal to me, and I've been respectful here, I haven't said one disrespectful word, and that is Ireland. Yeah? She simply wasn't straight-span enough alive to talk to the IRA and Sinn Féin. While Willie Whitelaw did, Heath approved, Jim Pryor did, John Major did, and as far as I can recall, Tony Blair did. And we got the breakthrough. Mrs. Thatcher prolonged Ireland's suffering. She inherited a promising situation from Jim Callaghan. Discussions were ongoing, but she stalled them. She jetted over there to show herself on TV after serious bombings and loss of life. But she did nothing to resolve the problem. It was Neil Kinnock who remarked at the time that he didn't believe in PMs jetting into the scene of disasters. Instead, he said she should be looking for a solution. She didn't look hard enough. She didn't, but John Major did. Tony Blair did, along with Albert Reynolds and Bertie Ahern. That's the difference. They got the breakthrough. In the end, however, Mr. Mayor, there was so much discord, doubt and despair, not just in the country as a whole, but in her very government and cabinet even. So much so that on Thursday, November 22, 1990, they rounded on her with deadly intent and diagnosed the Ireland lady as a serious case of metal fatigue. And thus she was dispatched by those honourable men in grey suits. The same gallants, Mr. Mayor, who are now singing her praises on TV. Mr. Clark, Mr. Lilly, Mr. Baker, yes, Mr. Major. At least Lord Heseltine has the decency to resist. But the original Brutus, Gasca and Cassius didn't go around singing Caesar's praises. They left that to Mark Antony, and that showed equally poor judgment on their part. But in the fine words and phrases used to launch this premiership, turned out to be wholly inappropriate, even mocking. The sort of shabby end is appropriate enough. For this Prime Minister left behind a big crowd with the hospitals, littered streets, massive unemployment, the mining industry closed down. She did, before she finished, in fact, invert each and every one of those lines from St. Francis. Thank you.